Hi, everybody. It's Lisa Campion here. I am super excited to be here with you today. And yes, it will be available. So this is available if you're not here to watch it this morning. It will be posted on as an announcement on the Facebook group. And all the videos are available in the video section of this page. So thank you for asking that. That's a great question. So super excited. We're talking, this is the third of this mini class I'm doing about, can we do business in a pandemic? Can our businesses thrive? Can we start with nothing and knock it out of the park? Or can we expand the business we have? And the answer is yes, absolutely. And today what we're going to talk about is our life purpose. Because I feel like this is crucial. If we don't fully understand what our life purpose is, we're really going to have an issue in our business. We need to deeply understand the nature of our gifts, what our real gifts are as healers, our psychics, and also how they come together to form our life purpose in a way that that makes business, I want to say like in a flow. I want to say effortless, but of course nothing's really effortless. But there's this real difference between using your will and your mind to muscle your way through your business, where you're like, I'm gonna change reality with my will, grr, you know. That's what a lot of us do. And if you do that, you're eventually going to run out of steam and fail. Or aligning with our true life purpose, with our soul energy. And when we get, it's like standing under a waterfall. When we align with the truth of our soul, this energy flows through us in a way that we're like floating along this powerful river instead of paddling upstream, you know. And that's kind of what I want to do that. So talk about that today. So as a psychic, I've been doing psychic work since I was 19, like 30 years or whatever it is now. And one of the biggest questions that people ask me is, what am I for? What is my life purpose? You might think that it's about relationships. You might think it's about, that's sort of maybe my second most asked question. But the first thing, the most common question that I get is, what am I for? What's my life purpose? It drives people crazy not to know. It makes us feel nuts because we know we're for something. We know we are made uniquely, specifically to do something special. And of course you are. And if we don't know what it is, it causes a tremendous amount of pain and suffering in our lives. And I think there's a ton of misconceptions about what life purpose really is, what it really means. Many people equate our life purpose to a job. And it isn't always a job, but we'll talk about that in a minute, okay? Those are the two things that we have that are so important, and so many people get it wrong. And if you get it wrong, like what is your life purpose and what are your gifts? If you get it wrong, your business is going to fall flat before it gets off the ground. So let's dig into this a little bit and really talk about it. If you are doing what you think you should do rather than what you really love, it's never going to really work for you. So for example, maybe you think you should be a medium because everyone else does it and it's what we see on TV, and you try it, but it's not really where your actual psychic and healing gifts are. It never really works. Then you start to feel kind of bad about it, and you feel sort of bad about yourself, and then you get in a little bit of a negative energy spiral, which just adds to the bad feelings, like you're not in the vortex. Like if you follow Esther Hicks, Abraham Hicks work, you pull yourself out of the vortex if you are not in alignment with the truth of what you're really supposed to be doing. You won't really ever have your heart in it and your soul in it, and it won't be aligned to your life purpose. So we must make sure that we are choosing what we're choosing to do professionally, as healers, as psychics, that we actually have a chakra for that. And when we say, I don't have a chakra for that, this is something that a little expression that we use in the energy medicine school that I teach in. And it means that you have a chakra for it or you don't. And all of us are trying, not all of us, many of us try to do something we don't have a chakra for. Automatic fail on that, right? Your body, your energy system, your mind, what you like, what you don't like, what your passions are, your psychic skills, your healer skills, your nervous system is 100% designed to help you fulfill your life purpose in a fantastic way, right? How could it be any other way? Like, you pick your soul, pick the body, pick the nervous system, pick the skill set, pick the way your mind works. All of that, that was chosen by you before you got here, so you would have exactly the right tool set you need to fulfill your life purpose, right? Our problem is that our mind, our inner critic, what we think we should do or shouldn't do, our childhood programming, what society thinks, what your parents told you, what your teachers told you, what your high school guidance counselor told you, all of that gets in the way of who we are versus who we think we should be. That makes a construct, like a false self, like this idea of yourself rather than who you really are. And if you try to create a business, run a business from that idea instead of the truth, no, like it's just so good. It's just going to be so painful, and not only painful, but it's really not going to work, right? And I don't know, like what we're working on, what we're talking about in this, and what we're going to work on if you jump into my business class, we're going to work on how do we stop thinking about who we are and actually just be who we are. And when we run our business from being, our deep sense of being who we are and communicating and expressing, talking, marketing. So basically, like, marketing, when we do it right, is just absolutely authentic connection of communication of you being you at your deepest level. You be you at your deepest level, and you communicate that to other people. That's all you've got to do for marketing. And if you do that, you've got to, you can't fail, actually. You actually can't fail. If you don't do that, it's going to get all tangled up, right? But I'm going to give you an example so you really know what I'm talking about. This is somebody that I worked with recently, okay? So met this lovely woman. She's a super soft empath, and she decided she wanted to open a yoga studio. I think that she did that because that's what people think they should do. If you're spiritual, you open a yoga studio, you open a healing center, and then in her mind, this was in the category of what you should do if you're a spiritual person who wants a spiritual business, okay? She is a really fantastic yoga teacher. She's super, super soft, super empathy, really excels at counseling. One-on-one work is her favorite. And she has her real soul gift is this incredible knack of making people feel seen, making them feel heard. She's genius, brilliant at holding space for people. People in her presence just feel so held and loved and nurtured by her. She's fantastic at doing energy work, really listening, having her heart open, feeling deep compassion for people. She's very psychic and intuitive, so she can perceive the chakras, perceive people's energy field, and she has this very natural and strong connection with her guides, who are mostly angelic beings, okay? But she has had trouble accepting those parts of herself. Her family rejected those sides of hers when she was little. She wanted to be tough. Her family wanted her to be tough, thick-skinned, hard-driven, achiever-type people, which she doesn't have a chakra for, by the way, any of that stuff, okay? She's wired in a completely opposite way. But she's in this, like, I want a spiritual business, so I'm going to open a yoga studio. And she did, and she was attempting to muscle her way through the parts of it, like that, using her will and her mind. She's smart. And so she can, so she was trying to, like, muscle her way through the parts that she's not good at. However, she's not so great at the details of things. Because she's an empath, she was getting overwhelmed at crowds, sort of hates math, planning things isn't her strong suit, doesn't know her way around a spreadsheet, and she was also getting sort of pushed around by the other people working in the studio because she doesn't really have naturally strong boundaries. That's not her strong suit. And this went on for a while until she was feeling worse and worse about herself. The energy in the studio wasn't very good. People weren't that happy. The people who came in to do yoga were like, why does this feel bad in here? And the yoga teachers and the practitioners that were working out of that place was really kind of a mess, actually. And so after this disastrous year of feeling terrible about herself and her ability to run this studio, she had a health crash. Which you're listening to this story and you probably would have predicted that would happen, right? She burned herself out by completely trying to use her will and muscle her way through something she actually doesn't have a chakra for and isn't truly aligned with her life purpose. And the health crash was actually a blessing for her because it allowed her to sell her yoga studio to a real achiever type friend who is super structured and a very A-type personality. Now, the empath person went into a one-on-one healing practice where she's really able to connect to people deeply about their feelings. She's super good at energy work. She doesn't have to manage other people. And it's in alignment with her true nature. She's got a chakra for everything she's doing. And suddenly her practice takes off. All of a sudden, her health recovers and she's in that almost effortless flow of her business. She wakes up every day psyched to go to work and money is flowing in because she's doing what she's meant to do. She's aligned with that soul energy. She's full of creative ideas to expand things. And even though it's hard work on the daily, it brings her joy. It's life-giving. It's connecting to her soul. The whole process is adding to her life, adding energy, joy, pleasure, passion, a feel-good thing. So now she's in the positive vortex, like she's in the vortex, and it's all going incredibly well. Okay. Now her friend, the achiever, takes over the studio and also knocks it out of the park. Before this happened, she was in the financial industry, so she loves math, loves strategy, loves a spreadsheet. She's a business plan. She's a clear focus on her revenue model for the studio. In fact, coming up with a revenue model brings her happiness and joy. She loves it, right? She's planning events. She loves to do that too. She sets up a win-win system for everyone else who is working out of the studio. She makes all the other practitioners and yoga teachers sign contracts so everyone knows what they're doing. She holds a firm but loving boundary and everyone's happy. All of a sudden, people pour into the studio since suddenly it has a wonderful vibe. There's classes, there's events running that bring more people in. And because she's an organizational wizard, she starts a yoga teacher training and doubles her revenue in like 6 months. She loves, then she can't wait to get out of bed in the morning. She's brimming with energy and ideas about how to make it better because she is in the energy of her soul and she's doing everything she's doing, she has a chakra for. Okay. So as you contemplate your business as a psychic healer, I want you to really think about this. What is your real calling? What are your real gifts? And we have these two parts of us, right? We have the soul self, sometimes called your higher self, and it's totally giving you messages all the time about what you're supposed to be doing in the world and what your life purpose is. In fact, there's a line of energy. We're going to talk a little bit about energy anatomy right now. There's a line of energy called the life purpose line or the Hara line. It starts way up there in soul world, or call it heaven if you want. I always call it soul world. Way up there, connected to your soul. Your soul drops this like ribbon or line of energy down from up there, comes all the way down, comes in the top of your head, goes down your spine, all your chakras plug into it. And it goes into the earth, we're all the way down to the center of the earth. This life purpose line, or sometimes called the Hara line, is like a string, and we slide along that string like a little bead that goes up and down on that string. And what happens is your soul is constantly pulsing or downloading information, energy, light, all of that stuff into you, like giving you assignments, giving you intuition, giving you energy, informing you about what you're supposed to do to fulfill your life purpose here. And that energy will land sort of in the seventh chakra in the pineal gland, which is like, oh, I have a thing, it lands in your sixth chakra, your mind, which will sort of give you a vision of what you're supposed to do. It lands in this energy point in the back, in the occiput called the zeal point or the aha point, where you have that like that aha moment. My friend Reese Thomas calls that the aha point. Right. And he, in the energy medicine school, we talk about these these points, energy centers along the life purpose line, which are not actually chakras. They're not exactly like the same thing as your 7 chakras, but they work with our life purpose system to help us understand our life purpose, right? And from this aha point, it goes into this energy center that's between your throat and your heart, called the high heart, or the spiritual life purpose center. And when it lands there, we feel like a calling. We feel like a love of what we're going to do. And lots of people describe it as falling in love. It's sort of the feeling of falling in love with the idea of, you know, what you're supposed to do, like, or that feeling of, oh, I love this so much that I would pay them to let me do that. You know, that's kind of how we feel it, right? Then from there, it goes further down the life purpose line and lands in the Hara center, which is low, or the physical life purpose point, which is in the low belly between the second chakra, the navel chakra, and the base chakra, right? And when we feel it there, it's almost like a physical passion, like where we feel desire to create that thing that we love, the calling we love, into the physical world. We want, from that point, the physical life purpose point, we want to take that energy and manifest it in the world, like birth it and create something, do something, sign the lease, take the class, get the client, you know. And then we've got this whole process going, and total credit to Rhys Thomas and the Rhys Thomas Institute for that model of understanding our life purpose. Okay, but our personality, our ego gets in the way, right, of this process. So the personality, which is sort of a combination of your will in the third chakra and your mind, kind of come together to interrupt this often, because it's smart, and your mind is smart in its own way, but it often doesn't know a whole lot about what your life purpose is. The mind ego is programmed by what other people tell you to do, right? Like, maybe you want to be an artist, but everyone in your family's a lawyer, so I guess I'll be a lawyer, even though I hate that, but at least my dad will be proud of me, right? So you engage your mind and your will, and you do that muscling thing we talked about, to force yourself to do what is in alignment with your soul. And we know what happens, right? You're only miserable, burned out, tired, sick if you go that direction. Okay, so the real life purpose is, your real life purpose is always really a state of being, really. And people try to do it backwards. Like, if they find the right job, they'll understand their life purpose. But when we deeply understand our life purpose and we start being that on a regular basis, the right job just kind of manifests. We hold the frequency or vibration of our life purpose and very strongly, in the world adjusts around us. You guys know, right, that the only way to change the world is to change your inner state. When you change your inner state and you're really in alignment in a particular way, it's so powerful that the world will change to match that. We get that all wrong. We try, when we want to change something, we try to change the outer world, which is the arm wrestle, using your will to change the world. It works for a little while, but it's not the real thing, you know. We have to change the inner, we vibrate here, and then the world matches. It's kind of it's such a relief, and it's so amazing when you figure that out, how it's a totally different way of manifesting, but it really works, okay? So my life purpose, for example, is to be a healer and to teach other people like you to be your best healer self, to be the best you can be, so you can go out and save the world, because I really believe we need a cadre, an army of healers right now. And I get all excited and passionate about helping you reach your potential so you can go do your thing, and we can add to the collective light onto the planet, which we need a lot right now. So I have a nice office. This is my office where I just see clients. But you could take me out of my office and put me in McDonald's full of hamburgers, and I'm still going to be putting my hands on people and doing Reiki and talking to their dead grandmothers, because I can't help it. It's not what I do. It's who I am. It's who I am. And I'm going to do that wherever I have always done that my whole life. And I will always do that because I can't help it. It's just it's me, right? So I want you to find that for you. And that It might be something like leading people, or leading people by inspiring people, or maybe your life purpose is to be a nurturer, or to be super creative. It might be to hold the energy of unconditional love and transmit that out into the world. It might be to be an achiever, super structured, strategist, a mover, a doer, right? It might be to, be an entrepreneur. So that energy will want to focus itself in a certain way when we're really in the flow of that. Maybe it's about really connecting to nature and helping other people fall back in love with the earth, which is a totally righteous life purpose right about now, right? It might be about teaching people to love themselves, and you're going to do that by learning how to love yourself first. There's literally an infinite possibilities here. There's an infinite number of variations in yours. What you do, what you're meant to do, is absolutely unique. Absolutely unique. Like no one else can do it. And the universe isn't going to really function at 100% unless you're doing it. Like that's how much you're needed. You're so, what you have to bring is so important, is so needed, that the universe is slightly off kilter if you're not doing it. Like, I'm not to put any pressure on you, but you know what I'm saying, right? All right. So how do we do this? How do we know what our thing is? And the best way to figure out what soul path you're on is, and this is a little homework exercise you can do at home, is to really think about what you love doing. You know, that kind of like follow your bliss thing that people used to talk about? It's really kind of true. So if you write down a list of everything you love to do, even if you can't figure out how there's any money in it, I want you to put like 50 things on that list. And what you're going to do, if you get 50 things on 20 things on that list, you're going to begin to see the core qualities, the patterns. There are probably one or two threads. Maybe everything is super creative, or maybe everything is about service or giving to other people, or it might have there's going to be two qualities in there, or more maybe, but I want you to start seeing those threads. And you don't have to think about how you're going to make money scrapbooking or antique shopping or ballroom dancing, right? You don't have to worry about that right now. Just in this exercise, like, get it all out on paper and just see if you can identify what, like, I know this is like not most people's experience, but I was looking through some of my papers the other day, and I found this little book that I wrote when I was like 6 or 7. And I used to make books when I was little. I would get construction paper, and I would write out line paper, and I'd write all the books, and I'd make a little cover on it. And there's so many of them around because I did it all the time. And in one of them, I wrote, when I grow up, I'm going to be an author and a psychic. Well, okay, like that's what I've done. That's what I've done my whole life, you know? And I guess I knew when I was 6 years old that that's what was my thing was. And I know that's not everyone's experience, except maybe it is. So if you go back to like your course yourself as a child, you were probably closer connected to who you really were when you were a child. You're always playing with animals. You wanted to like make sick people feel better. You wanted to like lead the world and be Wonder Woman, right? Think about what you wanted when you were a child, and just get the qualities of that, and you're going to get a lot of information about what it is we're supposed to do. So one of my students in the business class that I'm about to run did this, and she wrote down a whole bunch of things and really came up with artists. Like, she was the one that wanted to be an artist. Her parents couldn't tell her what to do, and she had she was trying to make all these ideas about how to make money doing art that never quite lined up for her. They never really worked. They weren't quite right for her. So she figured, well, she would just do the one thing she knows. She put her in her core, put her in this flow of the soul, which was to make art. So she opened a studio, and she went into her studio every day, and she painted, she did art, made sculpture. She's sort of she can do a lot of different multimedia stuff. And it made her happy, and she still wasn't sure how she was going to make money. And then people started showing up and asking her for lessons. Just walked into her studio. People walked into her studio and said, "What are you doing? And can I do it too?" And then all of a sudden, she's teaching art. She's teaching art classes 2 or 3 times a week, to a few students. They're paying her good money. There's a gallery. They're putting their stuff in their gallery. They're doing some art shows. And she's like, I don't know how this is going, but I just know that what I got to do is keep making art. And then somebody walked into her studio randomly out of the blue, out of nowhere, and invited her to bring some art to the memory care unit in an Alzheimer's unit or memory care unit in an assisted living place, because the residents wanted art, and art works really good for that population. So, and they'll pay her. Oh, we'll pay you, by the way, and they're going to pay her some pretty good money. So then that gig came along. Then her art students needed help understanding how to put up a portfolio and get their stuff into galleries. And she's working at a pretty high level now. So now she's charging them money for coaching. Okay. And you can see how when you're in that zone, it comes to you. It comes to you. And before that, she tried teaching art in an art school, heavy lifting. She had tried, I don't know, selling her art online, heavy lifting. Like she tried all the muscly things and couldn't get to where she was going. And this just having faith and lining up with that core energy made her a magnet, and it will make you a magnet. It makes us magnetic. And then people show up to take what we have, right? So this is the first thing we actually talk about in business class, because there's no point in doing any business work unless you straighten this out. And 90% of the people that I work with have it wrong. They have it half right and half wrong, or mostly right and some wrong. And we really have the foundation of what we're doing, where we got to start is to get this piece right, so that we can really get into that soul alignment, make sure we're doing what we have a chakra for, make sure what we're doing is truly in alignment with our life purpose. Because once we do that, and we put our time in. I'm not saying you don't have to put your time in and do the things you got to do, but if you're doing the things you got to do and you're in this alignment, I want to say you can't fail. And that's how it is for me. Like I am so aligned with what I'm doing right now. I feel like I'm jumping in a river, and the river's flowing me along. It's just I'm in the flow. Literally, I'm in the flow. And because I love what I do and I'm in that alignment, I'm not saying it's not hard work what I do, because I work hard. But it doesn't feel like hard work. It feels like I spring out of bed and go, I'm so excited to do this Facebook Live today. I'm so excited to be doing this business class. I'm so excited to be launching another book and doing all the things that I do, because it's my passion. What else would I be doing? Like, what else would I want to do? Nothing. This is it, right? So I'm so excited about it, and I so want to help you find that. And I hope that you do. So write some comments in here. I want to hear about what you know about your life purpose, or what you sometimes we learn by what it isn't before we understand what it is, right? So if you have that experience too, let me know. And next time we're going to tune in, I'll be back here on Monday at noon, and we're going to talk about how much do I charge. This is a question that drives people crazy too. So we're kind of getting a little bit more into the business side of things. How much do I charge? How do I know? And then next Friday, we're going to talk about the big money question is, how do I get clients? Because it's a mystery to a lot of people. And once you know the knack of it, it's not that hard. So have a beautiful weekend. Thank you for tuning in. Stay tuned. Oh yeah, stay tuned, because on Monday night, I'm doing this free webinar where I'm going to really go into the deep details of my Psychic Healer Academy, my 12-month program that is actually for 4 different modules. You can take it all together and get a really nice discount and a lot of extra bonuses, or you can take one module, whichever modules you want to have. You can pick them a la carte for what you need. And this is it. This is this new thing I'm doing. I'm so excited about it. And I'll be doing a webinar at 7 p.m. Eastern time. And there's a lot of links to it in this feed, so you can see it there to really get into to all that whole thing if you think you're interested. So have a beautiful weekend. I hope you spend some time thinking about your passion and writing down those things, and I will see you later. Thanks, guys. Bye.